If the Tennessee Titans want to get their second win of the season, they need to run the football. I'll explain why on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, I'm going to tell you exactly how the Tennessee Titans can win this game against the New England Patriots, what players we need to watch in this matchup, and why I think the Tennessee Titans should want to win this game. Before we get into it, thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Speaking of every day, I am going to be going live immediately after the Tennessee Titans game finishes on Sunday to break down all the action. Make sure that you don't miss that. And of course, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. If you aren't an everydayer, well, you need to be one. Throw a thumbs up on the video. Throw a tighten up down in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. And with that being said, let's dive into today's game plan episode. And it starts, as always, with my 3 keys to victory for the Titans. I said it in the opener of the show, but the number 1 key to victory for the Titans is to run the dang ball. No doubt about it. And it's for multiple reasons. Number 1, what do the Tennessee Titans do best? Run the football. Clearly, the passing offense has had its moments, but it's not something that you can rely on consistently. And I think the Titans' run game is something that you can rely on consistently. Right now, the Titans are 12th in the NFL in most rushing yards per game. And think that comes with a Week 3 game against the Green Bay Packers, where the Titans only ran for 33 yards as a team. So when you have that low of a number in a single game to still be that high, the reality is, in a normal game situation, the Titans are a top 10 rushing team in the NFL. No doubt about it there. So that's what the Titans do well. But also, more importantly, the New England Patriots have struggled severely to stop the run. My guy Mike Debate from Locked On Patriots kind of broke that down in yesterday's crossover episode. But right now, the New England Patriots are giving up 133 yards per game. And you look at their last 4 games, 193 rushing yards allowed, 192 rushing yards allowed, 171 rushing yards allowed. And then last week against the Jets, they allowed 112. But the reality is this is a terrible run defense, and the Titans are a good running team. So let's start there. And when you have what looks like to be Will Levis back in the fold here, Will Levis back in the lineup, you need to protect the young quarterback. You need to make sure that you don't put too much on his plate too early in this game and too often in this game. Look, it's no secret here. Will Levis and Mason Rudolph have not played great this year. So protect your quarterback no matter who it is and run the football. Tajay Spears is expected to be back in this game. Tony Pollard missed 2 days of practice, but I think that Brian Callahan said earlier in the week that there were some guys with some bruises and some bumps who have been playing a lot for him that he's going to give some rest to this week. I think Tony Pollard is one of those guys. I think Pollard will play in this game. But the reality is, if for some reason Tony Pollard doesn't play in this game, to me, Tajay Spears is good enough to still accomplish what the Titans need to accomplish on the ground. So first things first, you have to be able to run the ball. But the second thing, again, this is an old school game plan for the Tennessee Titans, a classic game plan. Like I talked about yesterday on the crossover episode, my everydayers will know, you got to stop the run too. And it comes down to the Patriots are going to have a young quarterback. It looks like Drake Maye is going to play in this game after leaving early last Sunday against the Jets. And you cannot give Drake Maye easy situations to operate. 3rd and short, 3rd and manageable. If the Titans stop the Patriots rushing attack, which really isn't all that good at the end of the day, they're going to put Drake Maye in 3rd and long situations. And then the pass rush, who had a very good day against a really, really great, the best offensive line in the NFL and the Detroit Lions last week, then the Titans pass rush is going to be able to get after the New England Patriots. And you look at some of the numbers here. The Titans rushing defense right now is 12th best in the NFL, allowing only 113.9 yards per game on the ground. And the Patriots run game is only 23rd in the NFL, averaging 111 yards per game. And in some of the recent games against the Patriots, 5 out of their last 6 games, or 5 out of their last 7 games, they have rushed for under 100 yards. So this is not a group that runs the ball very well or very consistently. So the Titans should have the opportunity to run the football and stop the run. And if they do that, they'll stay out of 3rd and long situations, and they'll put the Patriots in 3rd and long situations, and that will allow them to accomplish key to victory number 3, and that's winning the turnover margin. So the Patriots have won 2 games so far this season. They've won 2 games, and in those games, their turnover margin is +2. So they won 2-0 in their first win of the year against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1. And then last week against the Jets, the turnover margin was 0-0. So if you do not win the turnover margin, you're not helping yourselves enough. And this is a game where the Titans should be able to force some turnovers. I think the defense really goes crazy in this game for the Tennessee Titans. So from the offense's perspective, which has been the case a lot of the time this year, but they haven't been able to accomplish it, just simply do not turn over the ball consistently. It's been a problem for the Titans. And if you want to throw in a 4th one, of course, there's the special teams factor here. If the Titans, allow more special teams return yards than they do offensive yards to the Patriots, they're going to put themselves in a bad spot more likely than not. So they cannot lose the game on special teams. And I got to tell you, I want Cole Anderson fired. And after his press conference on Thursday, where he contradicted himself, saying it was an effort issue, and then a couple of minutes later saying it wasn't an effort issue against the Lions, he looked absolutely rattled. He looked absolutely out of his element. You want to talk about a coach being in over his head? It's Cole Anderson. Cole Anderson is not ready to be a coordinator at the NFL level. I don't even know if he's good enough to be a coach at the NFL level at this moment in time. And he just looked absolutely rattled, absolutely frazzled in his press conference on Thursday. So it doesn't give me a lot of faith, but my 3 keys to victory for the Titans are to run the football, stop the run, and win the turnover battle, which has been keys to victory for football games at all levels for all eternity. But if you want to add in an extra one, the Titans simply cannot lose the game on special teams, which unfortunately they definitely looked like they did last week. But with that being said, let's zoom in a little bit and talk about some of the players to watch in this matchup. Before we do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets, period. They have the best features in the industry. And look, we're in the middle of the football season, and the NBA season has just begun. There's nothing like the hype and atmosphere of watching basketball live. Make sure that you take advantage with Game Time's new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks takes out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And they still have other great features like a panoramic view from your seat, so you know what you're going to be looking at when you sit down. You can toggle on the feature in the app to get all-in pricing, so you know exactly what you're going to pay when you look at your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy, because our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or agonizing second overtime, which is why they've created the Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel, the energy shot made just for super fans like you, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. You know that this game is winnable for the Titans, and that gives me a little extra fan fuel this week to help me drive through the huge play from the latest game, the big upcoming matchup, an exciting moment with friends while watching the game. 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for a big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stay in the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. Titans fans, let's continue today's game plan preview edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about my old school game plan for the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are the better football team in this matchup. So if they just play smart and they play conservative, they run the ball, they stop the run, they win the turnover game, they're going to win this matchup. Now, want to zoom in to my players to watch in this game. And we will start with William Donovan Levis. Look, no doubt about it, hasn't been a great season for Will Levis. Whether it be the poor play, the mind-numbing turnovers, the meme-worthy things that have happened to him, it is unfortunate that Will Levis has become a true meme for the NFL cognoscenti. But all of that aside, Will Levis has the opportunity here to get things back on track. There's a lot of season left. The Titans are 1-6. They have 10 more games this year. There is nothing in the rule book that says that dogs can't play basketball. That's a joke, but there's nothing in the rule book that says Will Levis can't turn things around here. All right? Nothing that says that he can't play better and improve his play and do it to the point where the Titans become a more competitive team. Because quite honestly, the Titans should be 3-4, 2-5 at minimum. But Will Levis's boneheaded mistakes at the beginning of the year killed the team, and it killed the season. And while it's going to be impossible to get that back, the Titans aren't making a playoff run, anything like that. That's not happening. But Will Levis can get himself a 2025 season with the Titans if he turns things around. And he's going to be going up against Drake Maye, who's a rookie. And if Will Levis doesn't look better than Drake Maye in this game, it's a big issue. That's a big, big issue, and it's going to be hard for the Titans to ignore that going forward. So, Will Levis, you're back. You're healthy. You're ready to go. It's time to prove it. Wash away the rest of the season. Wash away the early mistakes and go out there and play free football. That's what you got to do. So, Will Levis back in the saddle for the Titans. He is obviously a key player to watch in this game. And then another name, and listen, again, Tony Pollard may not play in this game. I think that he will. If Tony Pollard doesn't play in this game, then just swap out Tajay Spears. But whoever is the starting running back for the Titans has to have a great day. We talked about why it's so important for the Titans to run the ball. Again, the Patriots' run defense is terrible. The Titans' run blocking is good. Speaking of blocking, I know we're not talking about the pass game, but interesting stat that I saw Jim Wyatt from TennesseeTitans.com tweet out. The Tennessee Titans have allowed the least amount of sacks of any team in the NFL since week 4. Just let that soak in. The least amount of sacks for any team. And yes, there's a bye week in there. But the Titans have been down big in these games against the Lions, against the Bills. And that means that defenses are pinning their ears back and looking to get after the quarterback nonstop because they don't have to worry about the run game. And with all that, the Titans have given up the least amount of sacks in the NFL over the last month of the season. Quite the improvement, right? And some of you guys act like everything is going terrible. It's just not the case. There are a lot of redeeming qualities for this team and things that are going right now. But I get some of you are just, they're 1-6, everything's bad. Nothing's allowed to be good. They're 1-6. It's all bad. Sure. If you want to be miserable, be miserable. But the reality is there are a lot of good things going on with this team, even if the record doesn't say so. All right. But with that being said, again, running the football is absolutely paramount. And that means that these running backs have to have a huge day. They have to run through contact. They have to make the most of the holes that are going to be open against this Patriots' porous defense. So need a big day from Tony Pollard if he plays in this game. Need a big day from Tajay Spears as well. Whoever lines up at running back needs to be an important factor for the Titans in this game. And then finally, I go to the defensive side of the ball. And like I will say throughout the season often, the Titans' best players have to play better. They simply haven't played good enough, and that includes Jeffrey Simmons. But last week, I was mistaken and this is why I like to go back throughout the week and correct things or double down on analysis, things like that, because when you watch a game on television, it's hard to take in everything. But after you get to watch the film a couple of times and see things with more clarity, Jeffrey Simmons played great last week. He had the highest pass rush grade of any player in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus, last week. Very, very good pass rush effort from Jeffrey Simmons. And that was against the best offensive line in the entire NFL. So what should Jeffrey Simmons do against maybe the worst offensive line in the NFL? Should absolutely wreck. This needs to be a classic Jeffrey Simmons game where Simmons absolutely destroys the offense to the tune of 2 or 3 sacks. This should be a dominant Big Jeff performance in this game. That is what I am expecting in this matchup. So my 3 players to watch: Will Levis against Drake Maye, the Titans running backs, and then Jeffrey Simmons against this offensive line. Now, something that Mike Debate from Locked On Patriots mentioned on our crossover show yesterday that I think deserves to be mentioned once again is the matchup of Calvin Ridley against Patriots cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who has been absolutely phenomenal early in the season and honestly early in his career, despite the injuries that he dealt with last year as a rookie. With Calvin Ridley probably getting the Christian Gonzalez follow, I think it's going to be important for other options to step up. I think this needs to be a big Tyler Boyd game. I think NWI needs to be reliable on money downs, like third down and in the red zone like he has been. And I think Chigakonkwo needs to take a step up. I need to see a big play or two from Chigakonkwo, like we saw from Josh Whyle last week on the 30-yard pass completion. The Titans tight ends, Chigakonkwo, Josh Whyle, need to step up and make big plays on the middle of the field defenders for the New England Patriots. They've been banged up at safety. Their linebacker play isn't that great. Need to see Tyler Boyd and the tight ends really take a step up here if Calvin Ridley is dealing with Christian Gonzalez all game long. But with that being said, I think the Tennessee Titans win this game. I'm going to go over my score prediction. I'm going to go over my gambling and betting advice as well and tell you why the Titans should want to win this game, and you as a fan should want to win this game as well. Before I get into it, I do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the second half of the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, like, hey, the Patriots are going to punt on the next drive, you could check out the latest stats. You could view live play-by-play and so much more on the same exact page where you place your bets. Make sure that you visit FanDuel.com to join today. Remember, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Titans fans, let's cap off today's game plan preview edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We've looked at my keys to victory. We've looked at my players to watch. Now I want to do some predictions for this game. I'm going to give you my score prediction, my gambling and fantasy advice for this game, and tell you why the Titans should want to win this game despite some people calling for them to tank. Before we get into it, thanks again for making Locked On Titans your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL. I'm the lead host of Locked On NFL for the Locked On Podcast Network. So at minimum, I would just appreciate your guys' support. The Locked On NFL podcast is free, just like Locked On Titans. It's under 30 minutes, just like Locked On Titans. Get caught up with all your Titans news here with me, and then get caught up on all of your NFL news with me as well over on Locked On NFL. But my game and score prediction for this one, I've been hitting at it all week. I think the Titans win this game. Now, I could see it being 24-13, but I think to side on the air of caution here, or to the err on the side of caution, I should say, I'm going to go 20-13 Titans. I think the Titans are a much better football team than the New England Patriots. I know that's hard for some people to believe, but watching the tape on these teams, looking at the Titans the way that I do each week, I know it's easy to watch them lose on Sunday and be like, oh, they lost again. They're terrible. Everything's terrible. But when you watch the film and you dive into, the granular details here, it's obvious that this team isn't as bad as the record says, and not everything is as terrible as it looks. That's just the reality. But, when all you do is watch 3 hours on Sunday and they lose a game and they lose 52-14, and, it's easy to be like, oh, they suck. Everything sucks. Fire everybody. I get how people come about that opinion, but it's just not informed and it's just not reality. So to me, the Titans are a better football team than the Patriots, and they should win this game. So I'm going to have them winning 20-13. Now, for keeping it plus 100, which is my betting segment every single week. Right now, the Titans are minus 3.5 on the spread. It's always dangerous when you break through the 3-point mark. But I like the Titans at minus 3.5. I would take that. And the over-under is a little shakier to me. Because again, I think the Titans could win 24-13, and now you're right up against it, and somebody goes for 2, or, different things can happen. But I definitely would hit the spread for the Titans, minus 3.5. I do think they cover that. Again, I think they win by a touchdown here. And with the over-under, I wouldn't feel overly confident there. I would look to take the over on Tony Pollard's rushing yards if he does play in the game. And if not, I'm going over on Tajay Spears rushing and receiving combined. I would do that. I would take the over on Josh Wiley's yards as well. Those player prop lines aren't quite up yet, but just my read on the situation, I would look at those on Sunday morning. And I got to be honest with you, I always bet a Will Levis interception. So I'm probably going to bet that as well. But I like the Titans to win. I like the Titans to cover in this game. And the line has gone up. I think it was 2.5 to start, and then 3, and now 3.5. That means people are betting on the Titans, because the people who actually pay attention closely know that the Titans are a better football team than the Patriots. But with that being said, we move to my beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy player of the game. And for me, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans defense. I think the Tennessee Titans defense gets a couple of turnovers in this game. I think the Tennessee Titans defense gets about 4 or 5 sacks in this game. I think they really hold the Patriots down. And quite honestly, if the Titans turn one of those turnovers into a score, I think the Titans may even win this game 27-7. Like, I think it could go like that if a defensive score happens, which I think is absolutely possible. So if I had to pick a fantasy player for you to roll with in this game, I'm rolling with the Tennessee Titans defense. That's who I would rely on in this one. But like I've been saying all episode long, and like I said at the end of yesterday's episode as well, I think the Tennessee Titans should want to win this game. Now, I am no stranger to hoping that the Titans will lose games at the end of the season to ensure better draft position. But hear me out on this. The Titans win this game. It's their second win of the year. Odds are that if they only win 2 games all year, they're going to get the number 1 pick. Like, how many years recently has a team had, 1 loss? It just doesn't happen, okay? Teams are going to win 2 or 3 games just because it's the NFL and that's the way that it works. So how many more winnable games do the Titans even have? Not very many. So I think that the Titans winning this game will not screw them out of a draft pick or anything like that. They would still have a top 3 pick in the NFL if they finish with 3 wins or less. So you can win this game, and I don't think that it's going to kill your draft positioning at all. Also, what I would say is they need something positive. Like, for the organization and the momentum of the organization, they need to have some positive things happen. With the nasty loss against the Lions, the bad loss against the Bills, I'm not saying that this team is going to make some push or anything like that, but you need some level of positivity here at some point just to keep some wind in the sails. So this win would not hurt their draft position, in my opinion, long-term. It would also create some positive momentum for the organization and some proof of concept. And then third, I don't know that the Titans should take a quarterback in this draft. I just don't feel confident in either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders in this draft. I just don't feel as confident about them as I did Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake Maye. Like, I don't think that either of those quarterbacks are better than any of those three guys. I don't. So with that, you look at the other positions of need: wide receiver, offensive tackle, and edge rusher. Those are the Titans' three biggest needs outside of quarterback, if you want to say quarterback. Their three biggest needs: wide receiver, Travis Hunter, T-Mac, Tetairoa McMillan from Arizona, Luther Burden from Missouri. You look at offensive tackle, you have Will Campbell from LSU, Kelvin Banks from Texas. You look at edge rusher, you have Abdul Carter from Penn State. You have James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. You even have Nick Scrouton, like maybe a Mikael Williams, who's more of an athletic guy who would need to be refined out of Georgia. Like even Jalen Walker, the guy from Georgia, is really starting to ascend up boards. There are multiple players who I would be happy with the Titans drafting at their positions of need, where so what if the Titans are pick 5 instead of pick 3? So what if the Titans are pick 6 instead of pick 4? I still think that there are enough good players at the positions of need that the Titans have where they could win a game or two to get some positive momentum going and still get a player at a position of need that could be a difference maker. So if you are set on the Titans taking a quarterback in this draft, I get that you disagree with me, but I'm just not as confident. I'm not fully against it if the organization feels confident in one of these guys, but I'm just not super confident in this quarterback class in general. So with that being said, though, that's going to do it for me today, folks. Remember, I'm going to be live after the game on Sunday to break down whatever goes down with this team. Throw a thumbs up on the video, throw a tighten up down in the chat. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.